Hi everybody. So this is the masterclass on how to make time for you in your busy schedule. And I've decided to just pre-record this one since the last live didn't work. And hopefully the next live will go a lot better. So yeah, I wanted to start this one just by talking about, what society is like for us today and how we're living basically in survival mode. We'll talk about how that is not, as living in survival mode is not supportive of living in an empowered state. I'm going to talk about how making time for you is supportive of living in an empowered state, or acting from an empowered state. And then finally, we'll talk about, how to make that time for you. Okay, so yeah, today's society feels like it's almost been engineered to make us live in this fast-paced environment where there is no time, it can feel like there's no time to do anything. I mean, if we look at family units in where the couples, the two parents are still together, often both parents are working full time, and often again, at least one of the parents is working one day on the weekend, sometimes more. Trying to get the kids to school, daycare, getting ready in the morning, do drop off, get them home in the afternoon, do homework, cook dinner, do the bedtime routine, try and keep on top of the house in between. Then we get to the end of the day, and work can be exhausting, stressful, demanding, and life is just demanding. And we get to the end of the day and we just want to crash and burn. The bit of downtime we get might be scrolling on our phones or watching TV. We just want to zone out and that's it. Then go to bed. Get up, repeat. Do it all again. Go home, go to bed, get up, repeat. And so when we're living in this survival mode or in this fast-paced, environment, like on the weekends, we really don't have much time for, if we want to try and get in on our 2-day weekend, if you're lucky to have 2 full days off, get in socializing, special family bonding time, whatever, things you need to do around the house. Maybe there's like some little jobs that need to be done around the house, and or just general housework as well, house maintenance. We've got to try and cram all of that into 2 days, and it's just not really enough time. And so when we, are feeling all this pressure of all these things that we've got to do, and maybe we're just constantly trying to keep on top of all of that, keep on top of all of the appointments. Maybe you got appointments for your kids, doctor's appointments, medical appointments, after school curricular, extracurricular activities, sports, whatever, dropping your kids off at their friends' houses. We're always, making sure our kids' needs are met, our partner's needs are met. Maybe you've got, your mum or dad has needs as well. Maybe they're ill, and you're trying to take care of them as well. And then, your friend has a problem and they need help, and, you feel like you're getting pulled in every direction, and, you're constantly giving. And then when we're living from this state of just giving and not, taking time out to just recenter, reground to, for you, this can lead to overwhelm very easily, and this overwhelm can lead to stress, anxiety, depression. I mean, why are things like stress, anxiety, and depression so prevalent in today's society? I mean, it's definitely skyrocketed in the last 30 years. And I think it's got a lot to do with the way that we're living in today's society. It can encourage, like, living this way can cause problems in your relationship because maybe you don't have the energy to you know, be with your partner in a romantic way. For your kids, you're constantly yelling at them and you're stressed out with them, and because you're stressed out internally, you don't have the space or the capacity to understand their needs from their childlike point of view. And so you're just constantly feeling attacked, and so you're lashing out. Lots of yelling, maybe punishing in ways that you don't want to. You know, maybe it's impacting your relationship with your friends and family. But I guess just most importantly, your emotional state, your internal state, you know, that survival mode, that high cortisol, high stress. And obviously we know all of the, you know, mental health and physical issues that can cause. So when we are living in this survival mode and we're constantly giving from an empty cup, we're just draining ourselves. And we're also telling our bodies and ourselves that we aren't important, that we're not worthy. And we're also modeling that to our children. So when we don't treat ourselves as worthy, as important, and we don't make that time for ourselves, we're modeling that to our children. And I invite you to think about how your parents took time for yourselves. How did they model that to you? Did they take time for themselves to do things that filled their cup? Or did they just, you know, do the go, 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 go thing as well? Or sometimes was there time for themselves? Did that just involve drinking? Because I know that that's really common as well. And you know, drinking isn't restoring, is it? It's quite the opposite. It's poisoning our bodies. You know, if we work hard all week and then go out and party all weekend, then our bodies are getting no time to rest, restore, recuperate. We're just bloody driving it into the ground. And so, yeah, I ask you to think about how you model in self-worth and that you're worthy of time. How are you modeling that to your children? And so, you know, that the old saying, well, not saying, you know, when you're on the aeroplane and they tell you if the plane crashes and the emergency masks fall down, that you should put your mask on first before your children's. Because how can you help your children if you're dead? I know that's a bit extreme, but it's true. You know, and you know, high stress can certainly lead to an earlier death. You know, how can we help our children? How can we give to our family and our friends and our kids and support our kids in nourishing, nurturing ways from an empowered state if we're giving from an empty cup? We can't, or it's really challenging. So what I am passionate about is turning this around, is encouraging people, and women in particular, to step outside the norm, to say, no, I don't need to live this way that society is telling me that I should live, and to start making time for you and to live from an empowered state. I want to transform people from living from survival mode into an empowered state. I want to spread that knowledge, that word, that it is possible. And so what does living from an empowered state look like, or what does it mean? I'd like you to think, you know, for a moment what that means to you. If you think of the word empowered, maybe jot down quickly a couple of words that you would associate with empowered. And for me, living from an empowered state, like an empowered person, sort of, that they can put their needs first. They can listen to their body and their body's needs, and they know what they need in order to, you know, keep on going on. And so that they can put boundaries in place to ensure that they get what they need. Communication, hey, I need time today for this. But they can also put boundaries in place to ensure that things that they don't need are not coming in. Hey, I'm sorry, I've got too much on my plate right now. I can't help you with that today. It is okay to say no. If you're not in a position to support somebody, it is okay to say no. It is not selfish to put yourself first. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So an empowered person, because they do that, can therefore be able to be there for their family, friends, work colleagues, whatever, in that empowered state. So meaning that they can hold space for them. They can hold space for them whilst remaining okay internally themselves. And, you know, I think the small children or even, you know, I don't have school-age children, so I haven't experienced that yet, but I know children can be extremely challenging, especially when they're having tantrums. And I'm sure when your child comes home from school and starts telling you that they hate you and they're not going to do this or that or whatever it is that they do at that age, you know, it's triggering and it can be hard to deal with. But if you're centered and grounded, it is much easier to hold space in those challenging situations without yourself getting very fired up inside. An empowered person can respond to a situation rather than reacting to a situation. So responding in the logical way or the correct way for the situation, rather than allowing their own emotions to get caught up in the situation. An empowered person to me also is somebody who doesn't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And I guess that's probably why it took me so long to get this one back out, because I realized, well, I had my kids were sick for a couple of weeks and I wasn't taking time for myself. And that led to me getting run down and getting sick. And I didn't feel that I could make this video whilst I wasn't walking the walk, you know. So now that I've taken some time off, I've taken some time for me, done lots of yoga, lots of things that fill my cup. Sleep, I needed sleep, and I slept. An empowered person doesn't just walk the walk, talks the talk. And so how can you move from living from survival mode to living in this empowered state, somebody who prioritizes, like who takes time for themselves? And you probably think that the answer has something to do with finding more time in your day, or you think that the problem is that you don't have time. But the problem isn't that you don't have time, it's that you don't prioritize time. You don't feel that you're worthy enough to take the time. You think that everybody else's needs are more important. You think it's more important to stay back and work your ass off for some boss who probably doesn't even care about you when you leave the company, work an extra hour or two every day. For what? As opposed to saying, no, I'm done now. I've done my hours. I'm not getting paid extra or whatever it may be. I'm going to go home. Why are everybody else's needs more important than your own? That's a really important question to sit and think about. So really, in order to make time for you in your busy schedule, you just need to do it. You need to prioritize it. You need to make it a non-negotiable. And I promise you, if you are somebody who is living in survival mode, who is putting everybody else's needs first, who has no time for themselves, every day just going through the motions, if you start to make time for you every day, and the sort of time that I'm talking about is, it doesn't have to be like going and getting a massage or getting a hair done or whatever it may be. I mean, yes, it's good to get those things done, but like every day, something that you can incorporate into your weekday. Maybe it's meditation to calm the mind. Maybe it's some yoga to help your body. Yoga is so beneficial in so many ways. Maybe it's doing a little bit of painting, drawing, creative writing, journaling. Maybe it's just going on a walk, a daily walk. Maybe it's just sitting out in the garden with your morning cup of coffee in the sun, letting that beautiful vitamin D soak into your skin. You know, I think it's important to find that balance of the things that calm the mind, such as meditation, yoga, as well as things that bring you joy, such as whatever your creative outlet may be, or whatever it is that brings you joy. Something that's not work, something that's not the kids, something that's not the family, it's something that you like, that is true to you, that brings you joy. So yeah, I promise when you start to make time for you and make it regular and keep it consistent, you will notice a massive shift in your mood, in your ability to handle life's challenges, in your ability to show up for your kids, to be able to hold space for them, to hold space for your family and your friends. A massive change. I noticed such a massive shift when I started doing it for myself a couple of years ago. It's 2.5 years ago now. Massive shift. And now when I don't, oh my gosh, it's like, I say to Josh, like, I need time now. And, you know, he gets that and he supports that. But yeah, that's when I start lashing out myself and not being the parent that I want to be, or just really struggling internally. So yeah, I encourage you to start doing this, to make yourself a priority. Make it consistent. And if you struggle with it, if you can't get out of the story of that there isn't enough time or that you're not a priority, I highly recommend that you book a call with me, because you are a priority and you need to shift that story, because you are worthy. And if you're telling yourself that you're not worthy, then that is a massive change that can, once you shift that story, you will see massive change in your life. And I know that a lot of mums or dads or people in general, they struggle with extreme guilt and shame about doing this, about taking time out for them when they still have 10 things on their list of the day that they didn't get done. You know, that guilt can be crippling almost, overpowering, and then you'll just give up and not want to do it again. And again, I encourage you, if that's what you're experiencing, to reach out. Because it doesn't have to be that way, and you can change that story. Because it's quite the opposite. It's not, there shouldn't be guilt and shame associated with taking time out for yourself. You know, guilt and shame are when you look at the frequencies of emotions, you know, you've got guilt and shame at the bottom of the scale, and, you know, love and joy at the top of the scale. So when you're associating, prioritizing yourself with guilt and shame, you're lowering your vibration massively, and you're telling yourself that that is going to lower your vibration. But if you don't, if you continue to put everybody else's needs first, you're lowering your vibration just as much. And in fact, you're physically, you know, damaging your body and your emotional state. So yes, I encourage you, you know, to book a call if you're, or just chat me if you are struggling with that. And I have a couple of journal prompts to leave you with as well, just to sort of help get you or illuminate what the two different lives look like for you. The life where you are putting yourself first, where you are prioritizing yourself, and the life where you're not. So I encourage you to do this in speed journaling format. So getting unlined paper is best. So you can just write as big, messy, whatever as you like. And then I'm going to give you, the start of the sentence, and that will be the start of your journal. And then you can just continue writing whatever's coming out. The first things that come to your mind, don't question it, don't think about it, just write it. And then I encourage you to do this for 3 to 4 minutes each question. And if you find that you've run out of things to say, just start with that initial journal prompt again. Start it again and see what else comes out. It's good to do it for 3 to 4 minutes because you want to get into the flow and you want to get the true feelings that from your subconscious coming out. So the first one is, when I put my needs last, I ... When I put my needs last, I ... And then the second one is, when I choose to make myself a priority, I ... So when I choose to make myself a priority, I... and finish that one. Okay, so that's it from me for now. I would love to hear how you're implementing making yourself a priority in your day. Sorry if you heard that loud truck just went past. So yeah, I would love for you to share how you're making yourself a priority in your day. Like, what steps are you taking? Because, we want to support each other and encourage each other. There are many of us out there who are living this life and who are struggling and, they're drowning with their hand up saying, help me. So I really encourage you to get out there and share your experiences, any tips that you have, because I'm sure we'd all love to hear them. And yeah, just share even your journal, the answers to your journal prompts, or like the vague gist of the answers to your journal prompts. If you wanted to even make a little video or something to share within the group, just what the 2 different lives look like for you. I encourage you to do that as well. Okay, so yeah, that's it from me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this, and until next time.